Guess what? I shattered my safe space. Let me tell you. Let me take you back for a minute here and give you an update on what's been happening for the past couple weeks. So, this whole church thing, right? Adventure, journey, whatever you want to call it, that I've been on, it was like constantly on my mind for a while. And then I made some videos, and then I kind of was like, okay, like I'm feeling all right. Like I'm, like not feeling great about my relationship with the church and family and everything like that, but I'm just I realized I was letting it kind of go under the radar. I was kind of like, not gonna think about it, right? And so I wasn't feeling like super confident in like not going to church, but I was also not feeling like super guilty either. So it was a happy place, right? I found out that a friend of mine from college, who I was close with years ago, that her and her husband were basically in the process of leaving the church. And I like freaked out. I was like, how are you doing? Like, can I help you? Like, is there anything I can do for you? And in talking to her, we ended up chatting a lot, back and forth on Marco Polo. And over the past couple weeks, well, let's see, it started about a month ago. And for a couple weeks, we had been chatting back and forth about church and doctrine and different topics and different issues. And what if this and what if that and what if we're wrong? All that. Everything. And as we were chatting about all of those things, I realized it was making me see actually how confident I felt in my belief system kind of shifting. Like she'd bring something up about the church, but like I had this experience or whatever and da da da. And then I'd be like, well, have you thought about this and whatever? And it was like, I was realizing like, wow, like I'm actually like feeling kind of confident about this. Like I'm actually like talking about church stuff and not feeling afraid, but I'm feeling secure, And that was like huge for me, right? Woo. And then what happened is, at the same time, I also started listening to a lot of like ex-Mormon podcasts and stuff like that. And I think what started happening to my brain was like, all of a sudden I started to see, okay, with where I'm headed, like I'm leaving, like for real. And my brain all of a sudden was like, wait, do you even know what you're doing? Do you even know if you're right or not? And then I was like freaking out again, right? So then I'm just delving into the rabbit hole of Mormon issues. Watched a lot of videos, read a lot of stuff, and I just really delved into it all to try to make myself feel more secure in what I felt like was going to be my final decision. And in doing so, I think I ended up just feeling a lot more validated than I ever thought was possible. I think a lot of people who leave the church, it's not necessarily for one reason. It's usually several. But sometimes there is kind of what I would call like a smoking gun issue where you're just like, I can't get over that issue. Now, for me, a lot of this journey has been me actually disagreeing with certain doctrine, right? But in researching all of this stuff, obviously I was shown a lot more church history than I had been aware of before. And so I think I found some pretty good, bad smoking guns, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so I shattered my safe place. Now I'm going to explain that. So what happened was I found all this information, right? And I started to feel like, okay, like I feel a little more validated. But then I also realized I was feeling really hurt. Now, specifically the things that I was feeling hurt by, I found so much information, and a lot of it I already knew, but just reading it again and actually checking the sources and stuff, I started to feel hurt, especially by the Joseph Smith stuff. I just specifically felt very hurt by the way he carried out the polygamy, and I was really hurt by the fact that there was a lot that a lot of things that we just really never knew about him, like about the fact that he was they call it the money digger. He would get people to pay him money to try to find gold on their land or whatever. And that was it was a con man thing. He ended up going to prison. Well, he had to go to trial for it. I don't think he went to prison for that specifically. I'm not totally sure, but he went to trial for that, and is like he was a con man like long before the whole Book of Mormon situation. The Kinderhook plates were a total fabrication that someone gave to him and was like, "Oh, can you translate this?" And he was like, "Yeah," and like, translated this message from God, and turned out to be totally fake, and no one even talks about that story. Obviously, they buried that story for a reason. So anyway, matter of the fact was that I was just feeling really hurt. I was feeling really hurt, just feeling like this man who was my hero, like my idol, like it was just crumbling right before me. And I mean, there was so much more stuff, but I just felt hurt, and I felt betrayed. And so for the next couple days, I was just totally like bumming out. I just feel hurt. Like that's just how it was. Like, and I was just trying to honor that pain, because this is a huge deal. This is a huge deal to me, and it's a huge deal to most people who go through this kind of situation, where you feel like you have all the answers, and then all of a sudden you have nothing. And it makes it hard to believe that you could ever believe in anything else ever again. Anyway, so I was super, super depressed, and I was like, I don't understand. In my head, I was like, I really felt like I already made the decision to leave. So why am I feeling so sad now? And my husband was the one who said, I think you broke your safe place. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, during this whole process for you, during this whole doubting and questioning and leaving and not leaving and whatever, he said, the thing that always made you feel better was you said, I can always go back. I can always go back. They'll always take me back. God will take me back. The bishop will take me back. Whatever. They will always take me back. I can always go back. And when I found all of that information, it broke my safe place, because I realized I'm never going back. And it feels freeing and it feels good, but also it felt painful. And it felt sad, because it felt like I had to accept the fact that I was never really going to belong with these people again. Which a lot of you may think, oh, well, like, good riddance or whatever, And it's just, you still, everyone wants to belong. So I was something I was struggling with. So anyway, so I broke my safe place. And then after that, I started to feel, after kind of processing the sadness, I started to feel really angry. Which we said, it was funny because we've always joked about how, like, I never really got to the angry phase. Like, I'd have moments of being angry, but a lot of people who leave the church will experience a good amount of anger. And it's, it feels like a betrayal, and it's hard not to feel like bitter that you were said and told you had to be this kind of person and be this way, and it turns out that's not the case. So, processing that anger, everything was triggering me. I just, it was hard, and my brother's on his mission right now. I love him. I'm trying so hard to support him. It is hard. I want to give my family the love and acceptance with their beliefs that I want, right? I want to be able to say, you believe what you want, I'm going to believe what I want, we're all going to be happy. But there's a part of me that feels like it's hard to feel that way when I really have taken this church off its pedestal in my mind. It's just another church. It really is. And it's not, I don't think it's all bad, but I definitely think there's a lot of damage that can come from it when you view it the way that you're taught to view it. My opinion. And again, my brother, being on his mission, it's like, he feels like everything Joseph Smith did was 100% correct. And I just don't feel that's the case. And so it feels like he's on a mission because he believes what Joseph Smith said. And he believes that the Book of Mormon is true. And in my mind, I'm like, if you want to go on a mission to show people how awesome this church is, that's great. But I feel like it's under false pretenses because this church isn't all that he thinks it is in my mind. So it's so hard because I love him so much and I'm trying to be supportive and I'm trying to work through these emotions and yeah, I'm trying not to let it trip me up. So where am I at right now? Well, I broke my safe place. So I'm trying to be my own safe place. You know, it's crazy to me because I feel like in the past few years of my life, I've really been on this journey of trying to learn how to improve myself internally. And that's really taken me to learning a lot about real self love and compassion. I think that a lot of problems that we have in life can be fixed by actually just having more love and compassion for ourselves, which sounds weird. It's just the journey I'm on, right? And it's amazing learning to provide myself stability emotionally and mentally has been way more comforting, I feel like, than anything else I've ever done in my life. And it's actually made me just a much easier person to deal with, like a better wife, a better sister, a better everything, because I'm getting so much more whole, right? So anyway, on this journey, as I've been trying to feel like I can love and accept myself, it was like I was coming in clash with the church. The church was it was getting in the way of that. And I hate to say that for people who love the church and want to be there because good for you. I think that's fine. I think the church really is a good place for a lot of people. But yeah, it was getting in the way of that. And now it's like it's cool to see, I guess, that I'm really letting go of it. That I'm really letting go of those expectations so that I really can move forward. And it's funny how it's shifted from having issues with the doctrine and feeling like my life was trying to go in this direction and it just wasn't. And then it was like, it just took some time to work through and figure out, do I think I'm a good person? And it just felt like I wasn't able to decide that for myself. And now I feel like I can. And it's so cool. It's like I'm really moving forward, like I'm getting so much more confident and I'm feeling so much better. Like this last year has been so hard because of having a baby and postpartum depression and then dealing with this whole church stuff. This church stuff is hard. It really is because it's like in my brain, I was just so wrapped up in it to the point that it's like I was so judgmental of anything outside of it. And now it's like as I'm building this confidence, I'm starting to feel free. And it's amazing. It really is and it's like I'm having confidence in myself. Like I'm learning to trust myself. I'm learning what I want in life. And I'm just enjoying this freedom. Like I don't have to constantly criticize myself anymore. I don't have to constantly worry that I'm not in God's good graces. It's funny because me and my husband talked about this the other day. What would be worse? Living your life in this church, right? And on the pretense that it's false, right? Living your life with this church assuming that it's completely false, right? Not that everything's false, but it's not, the one true absolute truth. Or living outside of this church and the church being 100% true. And we talked about in the long run, which consequences would be worse. And here's the thing, a lot of Mormons will say oh, well, you're way worse, like you're better off staying in the church just in case. But the thing is I just don't see it that way anymore. It's just funny that we talked about this. The reason that it got brought up was because my brother and I both had babies close to the same time. Both of us both had our first kid near the same time. And we had an agreement when we both had our kids that if something were to happen to me and Jared, that we would want them to take our son, and if something were to happen to them, they would want us to raise their daughter. And a few weeks ago, my brother basically told me, like, they didn't want us to be the one that would raise their kid anymore. And it hurt. It really did. And I get it, because I get where he's coming from, and he's like, oh, we want her to have salvation and stuff. My husband teased about it. He's like, but the sins of the kids will be on the parents, so she'll be fine. And it'll be us that will take on the sins. And anyway, we were just joking around with it. But I felt hurt by that, by my brother. I really did. Because it was like a lack of trust. Like, just because I'm not going to your church means I'm not going to be a good parent to your kid or whatever. But I get where he's coming from. And I understand that it's all... I mean, it's just the way the church leads you to think. And I don't like it, but I'm just glad I don't think that way anymore, I guess. Anyway, we talked about, just kind of jokingly, like, what would be worse? Being inside the church and it being false, or being outside of the church and it being true. And we were just like... My husband's always joked with me, like, even before I was ever considering leaving, I would say something like, what if you're wrong? And he was like, I'll just go to boring heaven then, meaning like the telestial or the terrestrial instead of the celestial kingdom, you know? And I just thought that was so funny. And I was like, he's got a good point. And on top of that, like, they say that, like, you're always going to have, like, a second chance. Yeah, like, I mean, some apostles even think that you can, you know, like, if you start in the terrestrial, you can move up to the celestial. And I don't know. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter. But it was just funny, because I guess just laughing about it made me feel a little better about the situation. So, yeah, I guess that's where I'm at right now. I'm feeling a lot more confident, and I'm feeling like a lot more peace. And I know this will be a process for me. I know this will be time to work through the anger, to work through the hurt. But I'm feeling good. Like, I really am. And, like, in leaving the church, I haven't felt like I could allow myself to feel good. Because I felt like on some level I was kind of punishing myself, like making me feel crappy because I'm doing, quote, bad things, you know, not going to church. And, yeah, I'm really excited to see where I go from here. And I'm really excited to just kind of explore what's out there. I know that I'm going to have to deal with this kind of fear that nothing may be true. Like, Jared, my husband, helped me to break down the metaphor this way. With Mormonism, it's like I spent my whole life climbing this mountain, right? And just all this work and all this time and effort and love went into this mountain that I so looked up to, right? And it's like all of a sudden I'm doing all this work now to climb down off of that mountain. And now I'm afraid to ever trust another mountain again. Like, if another mountain was like, I don't know, Buddhism or whatever, just anything. And it's like I'm having a hard time feeling like another mountain would be worth climbing. Like, I'm feeling worried about having purpose, about trusting purpose. But at the same time, I'm also gaining more clarity on what I want. And as I do that, it does help me to feel that purpose again. So anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at for anyone who's interested. And I know that this is a crazy journey and it's different for everyone, but I just love to put it out there to see if it helps anyone. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll be doing some more videos. Coming up, I really want to do a video, 10 reasons why people think you left the church versus 10 reasons why you actually did. So look out for that coming up. It's going to be a really cool one. Because people just assume the stupidest reasons why you would leave. So anyway, thank you guys so much. And I'm excited to talk to you again soon. Peace. Or peace. Whatever.